Pokemon Go is filled with extremely rare Pokemon that most people don't have, or can only get once or twice per year. But do you really need all of these exclusive Pokemon? Which ones are worth grinding for, and which ones are honestly worth skipping? Well, today we expose 13 super rare Pokemon you should never really worry about catching in Pokemon Go. Like one of the newest and rarest Pokemon to ever exist, Gimmighoul. This little guy came out alongside the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video games. And to catch it, you have to play them. You literally need a Nintendo Switch and one of the two games, which costs hundreds of dollars. So a super high effort and expensive Pokemon. It also evolves into an even harder to get Pokemon, Gholdengo. In order to evolve to it, you don't need candies, you need coins. Specifically, Gimmighoul coins, which you can only get by A, catching Gimmighoul, or B, spinning golden lure modules, which you need this Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games for. Oh, forgot to mention, you need 1,000 Gimmighoul coins. Literally impossible to get. The only reason that I have one is because I got it traded to me during a YouTube challenge. So obviously a ton of effort. But is it all worth it? Now, Gholdengo is a dual steel and ghost type Pokemon with a max CP of 3,976. So good typing, good CP. And it actually ranks overall as a top 10 ghost type, which makes it pretty decent. But there are plenty of amazing ghost type Pokemon that do not require the amount of absolutely wild effort it takes to get Gholdengo. And outside of the ghost type Pokemon, it's not really useful. Today's video is sponsored by the one and only Pokemon Company International. And what's going down in their brand new game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you're not gonna wanna miss. From October 27th to November 1st, one of the biggest and spookiest things is happening. Special 5-star Mismagius Terra raids plus the special Halloween outbreak. What better way to celebrate the spooky season than with Pokemon? And that's not all. There will be 4 special Pokemon available during the Halloween outbreak. They include Mimikyu, Greavard, Phantump, and Drifloon. Also, the brand new DLC, The Hidden Treasure of Area 0 Part 1, the Teal Mask, is now available. Which allows you to explore even more of the amazing world of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And just so you know, there's gonna be some more high-level Terra raids happening throughout the year. So make sure to train hard and prepare your Pokemon for these incredible battles. Click the link down in the description below to play, and thank you again to the Pokemon Company International for the sponsor. Rotom. This Pokemon is hard to get only because it's available once per year, during Pokemon Go Fest season. And typically there's only one of the forms released per year, making the other forms so rare. But do you really need a Rotom in your account? Not really. Its max CP is like 2211 and it's not useful whatsoever. Really cool though to have in your account, but nothing to stress or lose sleep over. Although there are definitely cool things to have because they do not come back. Ferroseed. This is, to this day, one of the best and rarest shinies in the game. That blue is always a welcome sight, especially on a Pokemon as hard to find as Ferroseed. Plus, shiny Ferrothorn looks absolutely incredible. Ferroseed was released back in September of 2019 during a huge batch release of the Unova generation. It was available in the wild and in eggs and has remained rare ever since. And although it's been featured in the wild, raids, eggs, field research, it's never really been an easy Pokemon to find, and the shiny is even harder to get. Most people only have it because of special Pokemon Go Fest events like Go Fest 2020 and 2023. Unfortunately, the Pokemon is not nearly as good as the shiny. Ferrothorn maxes out at 2,624 CP and has absolutely no play in any of the Go Battle League leagues. And the next Pokemon is even worse. Cryogonal. Released in December of 2019, Cryogonal has been a very hard Pokemon to get since, mainly because it's only available in December every year. It's also one of those Pokemon that's like over 1,000 CP in the wild and is just like super hard to catch. Now, surely since it's only been released 4 times ever and it's hard to catch in the wild, it's gotta be good, right? Wrong-o. It's also one of those Pokemon that just doesn't evolve. It kind of just merely exists poorly. It has no usage as an ice type and absolutely no play in the Go Battle League. You can't evolve it, and it can't even be shiny. Skiddo. Released recently at the first ever City Safari event in Seoul, South Korea, Skiddo has only been caught by a small amount of lucky players. And even better, it was released with its shiny, which I caught.
No. Oh, yes! Forget everything I was about to say, bro. Forget it all, dude. I'm over here stuttering and shiny hunting. This is so sick. Yes!
New exclusive Pokemon, brand new shiny, only available at select in-person events. It's gotta be good. Not. Its evolution Go-Goat has only one real upside, ranked 84th in the Great League, which is like bad but good. Nothing to really pay attention to. So if you have the opportunity to catch this new Pokemon, definitely do it, but don't go flying around the world for it like I did. Archeops. Now this Pokemon has technically been available in the wild since its release in January of 2020. But good luck finding it. The only time spawns were boosted for this were during the 2023 Adventure Week event. And it was also available to catch actually as a reward during the Legacy Level 40 research, and has been a rare hatch since 2020. Now this year I was lucky enough to catch tons of shinies of it during Pokemon Go Fest in Japan and in New York City. These were high effort events though, and I was really hunting for this one since it was so rare. Was the grind worth it? Archeops is a dual flying and rock type Pokemon with a max CP of 3,766. So not bad, but unfortunately doesn't have any real usage for either of its typings and nothing to do in PvP. Bombardier. Released recently in September of 2023 alongside its shiny, Bombardier is a huge hunt in the game. The reason why? It was only available in raids and has a pretty decent shiny. Players all over, including myself, want it, but not because it's any good in Pokemon Go. Bombardier is a flying and dark type Pokemon, which are honestly two really good typings to have together, but it only maxes out at like 2,800 CP, and its only claim to fame is rank 86th in the Ultra League. Other than that, there's really no other reason to spend money or time catching this thing, because raid passes are so expensive, unless you want the shiny like myself, which I still don't have. Regidrago. This Pokemon was released in the most exclusive way possible, through Elite Raids, which is a feature reserved for the most exclusive, rare, and amazing Pokemon in Pokemon Go. So naturally, we'd all assume that Regidrago has to be so amazingly good to be released in this way. Why else would they use an Elite Raid spot on this Pokemon? Well, it turns out it was just a huge waste because Regidrago sucks. And not only that, but it was available in two separate occasions in the Elite Raids, then released in the Tier 5 raids without any shiny variant available. Somebody at Niantic must love this Pokemon because there's absolutely no reason for it to be featured this much. As a dragon type, it has no usage, and in PvP, its best rank is 206th in the Masters League. Absolutely no reason for this thing to be as rare and hard to find as it is right now. Minccino. Back in February of 2020, right as things were starting to get real with the pandemic, a special research event was released in Pokemon Go. For the first time ever, Minccino was available in research with its shiny. That day I grinded with JT Gilly and we did get lucky. Since then, it's been available in the wild, in eggs, in field research, in the raids, but has always maintained its status as a very rare Pokemon, especially the shiny. And it definitely had way more appearances in 2020 than any other year. So if you're watching this after 2020, it's probably pretty rare to you. Now, its evolution, Minccino, is nothing to rant or rave about. It's a normal type with a max CP in the 2500s, and doesn't really do anything in Pokemon Go other than look cool as the shiny. So catch it if you can, but if you can't, don't stress it. Vullaby. To get Vullaby, you have to do some difficult things. Get a Super Rocket Radar, which is either 200 Pokecoins or 6 Team Go Rocket battles. Battle a Team Go Rocket leader, get a 12-kilometer egg, walk it and hatch it, then hopefully get Vullaby, which honestly won't be too hard because they always hatch from the 12-kilometer eggs. They're like the Pokemon that you wish you would never hatch but end up always hatching. That's Vullaby. It was released in 2020 and it's shiny in 2021, and I think has only been in the wild once since. It might have been during like a Go Fest event or something, if at all. It's definitely another example of not as good as it is rare, because its evolution, Mandibuzz, doesn't really do much in Pokemon Go. Unless you PvP. This Pokemon actually ranks super duper well in the Great and Ultra Leagues, 17th in Ultra and 18th in Great. So if you PvP, it might actually be worth hatching for. But if you're like me and rarely touch the feature, you don't really need to worry about spending money or time hatching it. Kleavor. This Pokemon has only been available twice ever in Pokemon Go. On May 6th, 2023, Kleavor was featured in a weekend raid day event where it was released for the first time with its shiny. Pretty sure I was in New York City for this, and completely missed the shiny in the event. It then came back in the Ultra Unlock event in September in the Tier 3 raids. So raid only and only available during select times. But really the only thing you're raiding for here is the shiny. Kleavor has 0 PvP play and maxes out in the 3500s in CP. So, I mean, technically since it's rock and bug type, it does have some potential, but unfortunately that potential doesn't really mean anything in game. Very rare shiny though, so if you have that, be proud of it. Passimian. This is a pretty cool looking Pokemon and was released in a pretty cool way. To celebrate the 2023 Pokemon World Championships in August of 2023, Passimian was released in the Tier 3 raids and in the field research encounters. And if you actually attended the World Championships in Japan, it was also in the wild. After the event concluded, the Pokemon left and has never returned since, making it very rare considering it was only available for about 4 days. And luckily for this Pokemon, it actually has some usage. It's a pure fighting type with a max CP of 3,429 and is pretty decent in the Go Battle League, ranking 93rd in the Ultra League and actually 36th in the Great League. So again, if you're like me and don't really PvP, you don't have to worry about catching this thing too much, but if you do PvP, definitely a cool something worth keeping an eye out for. And those are some of the rarest Pokemon in Pokemon Go that you shouldn't really worry too much about catching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.